A lot of moves for the Dolphins this offseason, and now we're just about 2 weeks away from seeing if they can put it all together. Finally, the Dolphins back-to-back winning seasons, but they still haven't made it to the postseason since 2016. Can guys like, the cheetah help them change that? Dolphins offseason additions and departures highlighted by landing Tyreek Hill in that trade, not to mention new head coach Mike McDaniel, also Teron Armstead signing on as well. Here's more from Dolphins GM Chris Grier with our Rick Spielman.
Chris, thanks for joining us today. This is your second joint practice. You had one earlier against Tampa Bay. Can you talk about the importance of these joint practices?
Yeah, no, I'm glad to be here with see you again. I hadn't seen you in a while. You joined the dark side now. So, seriously, really appreciate you guys being here. For us, the joint practices are a great evaluation tool. At the end of the day, with preseason and guys trying to do that balance between the injuries, playing starters, get them enough time. At least here, you're seeing ones versus ones against another team, another opponent. So. And being involved, the players get revved up for this stuff. Like you just had Tyreek and Darius Slay going against each other in one-on-one. So, players enjoy it. I think coaches like it because it's just different from training camp, breaks up a little bit of the monotony, but also getting the work in against another team is really important.
Yeah, and there's been a big debate out there on, is it more important to get these joint practices or to play some of your guys in a preseason?
It is a fine line because the guys need to be hit and tackled too, and some of these, joint practice, even with us, we don't take people to the ground, but you're getting a lot of physical work, especially the lines are getting good work in terms of hitting and going against someone else. But I do think guys need to play a little bit, but I also completely understand if you got those core guys that are irreplaceable, the balance of keeping them safe and ready for the opener.
Yeah, and let's go behind the scenes a little bit. I asked Howie this earlier on the big trade they made for A.J. Brown, and you did the same thing with getting maybe the most explosive playmaker in the game right now in Tyreek Hill. Can you go behind the scenes on when that kind of occurred and how long that took?
Yeah, it was. It probably took about 4 or 5 days of communication, working with Brett Veach, who's a really good guy in Kansas City, and did deals don't get done if it's not relationships and you have good trust and communication with the people you're working with. So for us, it was the opportunity to add, like you said, an impact dynamic playmaker. We still have a young roster. We feel we have a young roster with good ascending players that we're very happy with, but to be able to get a proven star like Tyreek to add to the weapons on offense and team him with Jalen Waddle and the guys we have here was something, as Mike and I going through it, we thought was, for us and for the quarterback and just the team in general would be a huge boost. So really working with those guys, it probably took about 4 or 5 days to come together. And once we made the trade, Mike was through the roof as well as the fan base went crazy, so it was a really exciting time for us.
Yeah, and as you get ready for the season, and I have to ask you this because everybody asked me this 1,000 times about your quarterback. You've got a phenomenal defense. You've got playmakers all over on the offensive side. You got a new head coach that is offensive oriented and sounds like he's going to be making the calls. How big a year is this for Tua?
Every year for every player is a big year, like that. But I think for Tua, the exciting part is the relationship he and Mike have in terms of getting to learn each other, the play calling, getting to know our players, surrounding them with playmakers, like you said, and trying to, adding Cedric Wilson to the mix and, Raheem Mostert, Chase Edmonds, so, for us, it was really just trying to improve our team speed, adding, guys that had some dynamic traits to play in space. And Tua has been fantastic, worked his tail off. He and Mike, great relationship, and his leadership stuff. A lot of the players even talked about how he's just kind of taken over, and so it's been fun watching it.
And my last question, this is probably the busiest time of year for GMs other than getting prepared for the draft. Right. With the 53-man cut coming down. You've evaluated your roster. How active do you think you will be as far as addressing any needs that you see getting ready to go into the season?
Well, I learned a lot from you where you used to just hoard draft picks trying to, get us. But, we'll be like everyone, at least for us, our philosophy is we'll always look and be aggressive. And if you can upgrade the back end of that roster, and create a lot of depth and competition there, I think it just makes your team better. So, we'll be looking around, trying to shore up some areas where, we're like, hey, we'd like a little more depth here and there. But for us, It's like it's another draft time for the scouts. This is the time those guys have put in time studying the teams. The pro guys have been working hard. So very excited to see who we can add to the roster.
And people don't realize how many phone calls are going on this time of year, especially with Howie across the field from you.
Yeah, and Howie has to win every trade. You know? But I love Howie. We've done a bunch of deals with him, so I love him, but I always bust his chops. So, you got to win every trade.
A trade here during the combined practices?
That's what we were saying. We might do a baseball trade, just have them pull off their jerseys and switch like you see in baseball and just walk across the other sideline. So.
And I'm sure it won't be Tyreek Hill.
No, it definitely will not. And I'm sure for them it won't be A.J. Brown either.
All right, Chris, thanks for coming on.
Okay.
Yep.
Longest active droughts without a playoff win. So the Dolphins haven't been to the postseason since 2016. They have not won in the postseason since the year 2000, just behind the Lions as the longest active drought. We'll see if they can change that this upcoming season.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.